Should I take my jacket off? Or?
Yeah, whatever. Like, I like to keep these things kind of casual, so make yourself the most comfortable. So, hello, anyone tuning in, either live or later on in life. Today it's Monday. Yeah,
Today's Monday.
Like
Easter Monday.
Easter Monday of the long weekend. It's been a crazy weekend. I just got back from Ottawa yesterday. Lots of fun time partying around in the capital area.
What'd you do there?
So we basically just me and a bunch of friends had Friday off, and some of us had Monday off too. So we figured, why not go get out of town for a bit? So went up and rented an Airbnb over in just off Metcalfe Street, like right by downtown there. And I didn't do a heck of a lot. Just kind of walked around the town, got some exercise in, went and did some sightseeing. Caught up with some old friends too. My last podcast I did was with one of my friends, a guy named Hersey I worked at StatsGain with. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool to run into him and have him over, and we had like a bit of a round table. But some of my friends, I guess, got a little too nervous being around on there while it was live. I guess I don't know. I'm definitely when I did the first one, I was so much more nervous when I started doing this, but. I don't know. When you just look at this object, just this piece of metal sitting here listening.
That's all it is. Once you get this out of your head, you're fine.
Plus, when you start thinking about how many other things listen to you all day long, it's like, well, at least I know this one is. I mean, I have no idea if my phone is or isn't. So I mean, at least this thing's a little more obvious, a little more upfront with me. But what'd you get up to this weekend so far?
Just with the family. It's basically we had Good Friday, just eating fish and Italian culture. So that's basically what we did. It was a very boring weekend, but it was very relaxing. I got to sleep for once.
Yeah, no, that's probably the rest of my day today. Is just hopping back into bed after just wait until this hangover or whatever the heck goes away. But so there's a few things that I wanted to talk to you about. I mean, I guess first, just for people who don't know you, I want to just give a brief introduction.
Yeah, so my name's Tony Caruso. I'm from Niagara Falls. I'm a paralegal here. So I have a small little legal practice with a couple of people that work in there. So I'm bringing access to justice to the people. Like yourself, I also ran for the municipal election, but I ran for the school board, which was a very close race. So I'm just an inspiring public official that wants to be there one day.
And the lines for the Catholic school board trustee was Niagara Falls and Niagara Lake.
Correct.
I always found that kind of funny how St. Catherine's or for the public school board, it was like a weird line between Niagara Lake and St. Catherine's, but then it seemed like, I don't know, the Catholic school board and the District School Board of Niagara couldn't agree on just firm lines. I guess it just also about the population.
Yeah, it's not the firm lines. It goes by the population, like what you just stated there. So it goes by the numbers, right? Yeah. So in Niagara Falls, that's where the majority of the Catholics are compared to Niagara on the Lake, right? Yeah. So we just needed a couple more numbers. So Niagara on the Lake amalgamated into the city of Niagara Falls for the school board thing. So that's why they did it that way compared to St. Catherine's that want to amalgamate with other bigger cities because there's not too many Catholics in that area.
Yeah. What about Fort Erie? Was that involved in the same?
No, that was I think that was involved with St. Catherine's. Really? The Fort Erie, yeah, because I would have thought that Niagara Falls, Niagara Lake, and Fort Erie would be one, just the same thing like the federal and provincial election is, but no.
No, now that you brought that up, I mean, it's funny because you said the A word, amalgamation. You mentioned some of the upcoming elections. Well, I guess I want to say, what do you think would be the best outcome for amalgamation, or if the whole talks? Do we want it? What kind of amalgamation would we want?
Well, I called this in 2006 when I ran. So if anybody wants to go to the Niagara Falls Public Library, you can bring it up. I brought that up. What I think what's going to happen is Niagara Falls, Niagara Lake, and Fort Erie should be one city. It should be. Niagara and Lake, you guys are getting screwed left and right. Just take a look at your water and sewers. You guys are spending the most when it comes to your taxes, and you guys don't even have water or sewers in areas where it should be. Yeah. Same thing with a water treatment center. You guys have been let down for many, many years. Same thing with Chippewa and Niagara Falls, too. We've been letting them down. I think this would be good. Let's give it a chance. I think it's going to be very good. These seasoned politicians are going to be scared for their spot now because now they're competing with other big shots in other cities. Yeah. So I wonder how that's actually going to play out. But what I'm a little bit worried is how is it going to be equal across the board? Yeah. As Niagara Falls, because it's going to be a back into award system if we like it or not, right? Sure. So Niagara Falls, we're going to have 4 seats. Fort Erie's going to have 2, and Niagara Lake's going to have 3 or 1. I don't know how that's going to play out. And you're going to have 1 mayor now, so I wonder how that's going to play out as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would just assume, let's say you had the 3 current mayors of those towns running. you gotta admit or assume that Jim, like that the mayor of Niagara Falls, is the one who would probably win it, just being that he's got the most familiarity with the largest amount of people.
Yeah, but would he though? You know what I mean? If you're basing this on population wise, yeah, he does have a good shot of getting in. But if you're basing this off of people who actually care, like for example, Niagara-on-the-Lake, the voter turnout was much higher than Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it goes by the voter turnout. So if we're going by the voter turnout, anybody's job's up for grabs, I guess.
What's the population of the falls? Like 90,000?
I don't know if it's. I think it's 80,000 right now. When you're driving by, it says 80,000, but we are growing a lot. So, but
I had like 35% turnout rate, something like that.
35, 36. To me, it's still low. It's not even 40%. So you know what I mean. So you still have the same people voting all the time, while the other people say we don't care. The same people keep winning all the time.
Yeah, you probably have like 30,000 people that actually turned up to vote then. Niagara, I think we had like 14, 15,000 eligible voters, and I think we had almost 10,000 come up to the polls.
That's right.
So yeah, like I mean, Niagara and Lake would definitely be stronger per person just based on their turnout to the polls. I mean, that could give them a better chance, but I still feel like it'd probably be someone from the falls. Just having that familiarity with that larger group is definitely going to give people like a huge advantage. And like I feel like that's kind of been the case if you look at federal politics. I mean, Rob Nicholson from Niagara Falls. I mean, I feel like if he was from Fort Erie or Niagara Lake, it wouldn't fly as well. Like,
not necessarily. Yes, it gives him advantage because he lives in the city and everybody knows him. But if you're talking about provincial and federal, you have to look at the party lines. Niagara-on-the-Lake, if you like it or not, it's conservative.
Yeah.
Everybody's diehard conservatives here. Same thing with Fort Erie. You know, all these like farm counties are pro-conservative.
Yeah.
So, and you have Niagara Falls, which were like the wave. 1 second we're conservative, another second we're liberal, another second we're NDP. All of a sudden, like you know what I mean. So it's very unbalanced. Niagara-on-the-Lake and Fort Erie does have that that how you say it, that tipping. So they're the ones who dictates on who gets in and who doesn't.
Yeah, I guess you're right in that case. Like especially if Niagara Falls is split. Were you surprised to see NDP win the seat in the last election there?
100%.
Really?
100%.
You thought it was all going to conservatives?
I would like to see the conservatives in there because Niagara Falls doesn't line up. You know, you have a federal conservative and now you have a provincial NDP. We're getting screwed in the provincial level, and on the federal level, the same thing as well, because our party's not elected right now. So
for the outcasts.
That's right. So the NDPs right now. So if we have Wayne Gates, he's going to yell and scream every 2 seconds. They're just going to say, "Sit down." You know what I mean? We got the majority. We don't care what you think.
Yeah. Then same in federal. Like it seems like, well, obviously it's a liberal majority. So
correct.
Everything that's going by is just right out of the liberals.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to talk while we're on provincial politics about Prince Edward Island, about how crazy that is that we might see our first green premier ever in Canada.
Well, the spotlights are on them. You know what I mean? So the spotlight is on PEI right now. If they do get elected, they have to be very careful because this can make them or break them moving forward. If they do get in, it's going to be amazing. You know what I mean? Because now we have a brand new party, brand new ideologies.
That microscope's going to be on them.
That's right. So everyone's going to be watching them right now. But I pulled up a poll yesterday, but it's not that. It's very, very close. I saw 36% and 34%. So I don't know. Do we actually believe the polls right now? Is this the same thing with Hillary Clinton, who's got 70% of the pollings, and then Donald Trump comes right in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know how that's going to play out, but it'll be interesting to see them get in, because if they do get in, it's going to be, like you said, the spotlight's going to be on them, and I wonder what their policy is actually going to be. Right now it's talk, and now we're giving them the action, so let's see how that's going to play out. Yeah, and
it's crazy about how one of their candidates, he died in a canoeing accident this weekend, and so we were saying, like, I wonder how much extra support the party will get because of that. Like, some, I guess, like the pity support, people who like feel bad for the situation, saying, "Oh, you know what? I'll give them a chance instead." I wonder how much that'll come into play. Like, even looking at his riding, I wonder what'll happen. Like, if they have like a backup, or if his name's probably still on the ballot at this point.
Oh, 100% it is. So now they have to come up with another person and see what happens from there. I think that maybe his area is going to be a by-election.
Yeah, really.
Maybe it's going to continue the way how it is. He's going to get elected, and then they're going to have to do a by-election right afterwards, because they can't just change the vote right now.
Yeah, change the body that's sitting there. It doesn't work that way. I also want to talk to you about like your election as a bencher. Like, I mean, I've actually had a few of my friends who were looking to become paralegals. So we're pretty excited to see you come on the show today. I wanted to hear more about your platform and hear a little bit more about why it is that you're running and what kind of things you want to see change, what you want to see stay the same.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, I'm a paralegal, so I really enjoy my profession. We're not lawyers. People think that they are, but we're not. We are advocates for the province of Ontario. The reason I'm running is because I have scope of practice. I would like to see that expanded. For example, immigration is my number one go-to. As you see, the ICCRC has failed again. So that's an immigration consulting body who's failed again. I don't know why the federal government continues to give them, funding, giving them clout. You know what I mean? And a paralegal who's trained in, when it comes to the form of legal, that we're not good enough to represent people in immigration matters. Yeah. Let me rephrase. We're allowed to represent them when it comes to the refugee hearing boards, the tribunals. We can do that, but they don't trust us to fill out a simple application like, what is your name? The place of country, how old are you, your birthday, like that. Like, give me a break. We can't fill out a simple visa. That way? Well, it's the Law Society. So I don't know if there's cahoots between them and the ICCRC. In 2017, I went to Ottawa. I got to participate in the committee to make the government well known that paralegals are members of the Law Society. You must allow paralegals to do this. Yeah. So with my advocating, with pushing, we got to keep paralegals in the federal legislative and the law. So they were considered any other member of a provincial law society that can practice immigration. Now you got the Law Society on Bylaw 4 that clearly states that, no, you can't practice that right now. You have to wait. Yeah, well, excuse me, you're disrespecting the federal law, and you put paralegals there for access to justice. So much resistance. You know what I mean? Why is there the resistance for that? Oh, you're not trained enough. Well, that's what CPD hours are for. It's continuing your professional development hours. So you're telling me that I can't get trained on that? And who are you to say that I'm not trained on that when if I've been practicing immigration almost all my life with the Italian community that I worked with the Patronato and stuff like that, with the social body, that I got the experience in that. You know what I mean? So the federal government believes in us. Why doesn't the Law Society believe in us?
Yeah, it almost seems like they want to have that entire piece of the pie of that type of work.
For sure, and that's the lawyers. But this is the thing right now. We have so many, immigrants coming here, refugees. Why can't we help them out?
Yeah, so there's a backlog.
That's right. So it's access to justice. They're going to be paying these consultants $5,000 for a simple PR visa. Compared to if you come and see me, I'll be more than happy to charge, I don't know, $500, $1,000, give or take, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's about delivering that access to justice. So I don't know why that's happening. So if I get elected, that's going to be changed right away because it goes against the federal law right now.
Yeah, so fall in line with that. It makes sense. I mean, people voted for the federal government to put these kind of things in place, yet they're not even following along with those procedures. And it seems like it's got to be all from a place of greed.
That's right, and it's a membership. You know what I mean? So we're paying a membership to the LSO, the Law Society, and it's not cheap. So I should have the right to voice my opinions, my suggestions. You know what I mean? It's very. I find it how we have a legal body, okay, and yet there's no transparency. So we have something called the Paralegal Standing Committee, which is private. Me as a member of the Law Society, I can't go to that meeting. You know what I mean? How is that fair? I should be able to go in there to see what's being proposed.
Yes, you're a paying member.
I'm a paying member. I should be there to give my suggestions. I should be able to submit submissions. I should be able to know what's going on. And yet, me as a member of the Law Society, not a member of the public, but a member of the Law Society, you're saying that I'm not good enough to be part of that. What's the secrecy? What are you hiding right now?
Yeah, it's like an old man's club or something.
It is an old boys club. And, the other candidates are upset that I'm saying that. But you know what? I'm the new generation of paralegals, and the new generation of paralegals are fed up.
Yeah, we're
calling a spade a spade. We're the ones that want to see change. We're the ones that that are being educated because we have to go to school for it to become a paralegal. We're not grandfathered in. Yeah. We didn't just write an exam. We have to write a substantial exam, which is like 6 hours, 7 hours to write this exam. So yeah, I think we got the experience right now to go ahead and move forward with this.
Yeah, you've definitely had to go through a rigorous amount of training. You've been pulled through the field with it, and like you would expect to at least have like your voice heard now.
No, and that part I agree with you. And another thing too is, for example, is the people are on disability. and they're practicing paralegals. They're having a very difficult time paying their membership dues. They can't afford it. So I would like to propose a reduction in their fees. You know what I mean? It's about
with disabilities,
with people on disability right now, and they're practicing paralegals. So we need to reduce their membership fees because they can't afford to pay that each year, plus their insurance, plus this. You know, it gets very expensive. So I believe I want to give back. You know, I want to give back to my fellow paralegals. And I even received ridicule saying, Mr. Caruso, you're putting paralegals first. Yeah, I am. Of course I am. I'm not shy. I'm going to say it. I'm putting paralegals first. They're like, well, what about the public? I said, what about the public?
Yeah, by putting us first, we put the public
first.
that's
right. So the public has something called lay benchers. So they're elected by the public. And excuse me, they're appointed, but they represent the public, okay? So I'm running as a paralegal bencher, being voted in by paralegals, and paralegals come first to me. We have the legislative that clearly states access to justice. We are access to justice. So therefore, where you have paralegals, you have public interest. So why not put our interests first in regards of serving the public? So that's why I'm running. I'm representing paralegals first.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's amazing to see someone like yourself, like stepping forward to try to change some things. Is, you know, a lot of people, they see the system, they see it flawed, they say, it's too much work for me to do, or it's not possible for me, and they just, you know, stand
And that's
back.
exactly what's happening right now. You know, we're having a lot of paralegals losing hope in the LSO. There's even talks of people saying, I just want to turn in my license because it's too much now.
Yeah.
You know, that's wrong. You know what I mean? If we turn in our licenses, if we don't practice anymore, how is that access to justice? How is that serving the people?
Yeah, at that point, you're giving up on the people.
That's right. And like I said earlier, too, we have something called the Paralegal Association, right? So not too many people support the association, but they are the official voice to the Paralegal Standing Committee. So what I tell people is, if you don't support the Paralegal Association, that's fine. I respect your decision. If you don't want to support them, run for a director, change it.
Yeah.
If you're not happy with their policies, change it.
Something. Yeah.
But you know what? I hate to say it, they are our voice, and for you to turn your back on the association, that's actually hurting us. That's hurting each and every individual person, because now they're going to be voicing what we don't want, or voicing something that we should be supporting as a whole. So that's another reason too that we need to support the association as well. So you know what? I'm running right now because I want to do a major change. We need to revitalize Bylaw 4. Bylaw 4, there is a lot of issues to it. There's a lot of restrictions to it. So Bylaw 4 needs to be amended to actually serve the public, and that's what I want to run. People say, well, Mr. Caruso, you have over 40 lawyers and there's only 5 paralegal benchers. You know what I say to that? So what?
Yeah.
If you have a small little mouse in a room full of elite people and this mouse is running around, people are going to yell and scream.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to move to the side. Same thing with us. Sure, There's only 5 of us, but the more of a loud voice that we are at the LSO, we are able to pass anything that we want.
Yeah, I mean, you're built in the system for a reason.
That's right. And these incumbents that we have, it seems that they're catering to the lawyers.
Yeah, I mean, they want to just stay in there.
That's right. They want to stay in there. They don't want to shake the tree. They don't want to upset the lawyers. But it's not upsetting them. It's letting them know what we want. And I sit for a lawyer association. I sit for the Canadian Italian Advocate Association, and it's made up of lawyers. I'm actually the first paralegal that they allowed to sit on that association. And guess what they said to me? Tony, I would like to have more paralegals to sit on the association because we want to hear from you. You know why?
Almost.
Because we're the same membership.
And it seems like a lot of people are discouraged to do things like that. Like, they're just so battered down.
And that's 100% that they are, right? So that's the whole purpose. They want to hear from us. You know, I mean, voice our concerns. You should not be afraid that you're going to be getting some backlash. Of course, you're going to get backlash. Everything that we do, we're going to get backlash. You have lawyers that's been here for 100 years, over 150 years since Canada became a country, and now you have paralegals who was just formed in 2007. I understand the resistance. I would be saying, who the hell is this guy telling me what to do?
Yeah, they think, okay, now I'm going to lose my job. They're not going to need me now, taking my business away, things like that. Yeah.
And paralegals are the competition. I hate to say it, but we are the competition to lawyers because we do practice in small claims. We practice in LTB. We practice in POA, highway traffic. So yeah, we do some work what lawyers do as well. You know, yes, we are affordable because we don't go to school for 8 or 9 years like these lawyers do. So you know what? I do respect them. I do understand why they're upset and why they're afraid of paralegals, but it shouldn't be that way. You know what I mean? We're only 5 votes. They have 40. So what are they afraid of with us? At the end of the day, it's about negotiations. It's about how you present yourself. Are you going to be a team player? I'm 100% of a team player, and I'm 100% able to negotiate here. And guess what? I've been talking to a lot of lawyers, and they support me. So they're like, you know what? We would rather have you at the table because you're the voice of reason compared to just, trying to negotiate on something that you can't get.
And I know you told me a little bit about this before, but I want to hear again your story about how you got interested in law, how you became a paralegal. I just got to run to the bathroom real quick.
No problem.
If you want to start off with that story, and then I'll come back in.
For sure. So the reason I got into paralegal is, I ran for city council in 2006. I was trying to understand my rights. So, you have some bylaw officers, or you have some kind of politicians that are trying to tell you differently. So I actually started reading the bylaws. That's how I started off. I was like, okay, this is very interesting. So it's about interpretation. So you're trying to interpretate the law. So I was like, this is pretty cool. So I actually volunteered at a couple of law firms here. I actually liked what they were doing. I was thinking about becoming a lawyer. And then one day somebody says to me, why don't you become a paralegal? I was like, what's a paralegal? Well, it's the same thing what we do, but you just a limited scope of practice. I'm like, oh, okay. So I researched it. I found a place in Hamilton. I think it was Trias College at the time. I went to apply there, and the program was shut down. I'm like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So, I had to drive from Niagara Falls to Hamilton because I was the closest place to go to school. So I ended up going to Algonquin Careers Academy in Mississauga. So I drove every single day from Niagara Falls to Mississauga. With my university background, I got to challenging a bunch of courses that they have there. So my time was reduced. I did do my co-op placement at a law firm here in Niagara Falls, and it's just been amazing ever since. So I wrote the exam. I didn't pass the first time. It was a very, very difficult exam. I wrote it the second time. I did very well. And so now I got my own little firm in Niagara Falls. I've been in the business now for about 3 years. It's been amazing. It's always changing. What I tell all the students is this: when you get into paralegal, you have to understand that it's always changing. So even when you're in the schools, what they're teaching you now is going to be different in a few months from now, or even a year from now, because the forms are always evolving. The forms are always changing, or there's a different method, or a court wants to do something different. It's not the same across the board. So what I tell everybody is this: education is amazing, but always continue to educate yourself. Always continue to better yourself. Always continue to just to read up on something new. In regards to the tribunals, paralegals can do so many hearings. There's different ones. The most popular ones right now, is what I stated, was small claims. You have your LTB, you have your POA, highway traffic, and so on. So those are the major popular fields that one to practice, but that's becoming a little bit saturated because it seems that everybody's getting into that right now. So just research what you want to get into, and we can basically go from there. My firm does accept students. So just this year alone, we had 2 wonderful students, very eager to get into the field. So yeah, they got a lot of experience. I showed them how a claim works. They got to see how the function of a court works. And it's what I tell everybody is this: the court, when you get into court, it's not about going in front of a judge or arguing the points. It's actually about the paperwork behind the scenes. So you have to make sure that the paperwork is done perfectly before you go in front of a judge. That's the easy part.
Well, thanks for carrying the torch. Yeah, to anyone who's watching, I mean, the cameras are pretty low quality, but yeah, I feel like a bag of dirt today. I don't know if I ate something bad or just partied too hard. You know how it is when you're 23 years old.
And in Ottawa.
Yeah, that's true. No, I think it was I partied too hard when I got back.
No.
But yeah, thanks for taking the helm. I feel a lot better after that little intermission.
Perfect.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you too. I mean, like, now I feel a little more energized too. So looking this fall for the election, what's your first thoughts? Like, just like not even asking specific questions, just election 2019, like just go.
I got the champagne ready with the cigars to see Justin Trudeau out of office. He's got to go. We gave him a chance. He's failed the people of Canada. I've lost faith in him. I'm sure everybody else has as well. When you're punishing people of Ontario with a carbon tax, you know what? I go outside and I breathe perfectly now. You know, we have no more carbon. We have no more, emissions happening. So that's amazing. So it's just a tax. A tax is a tax is a tax. That's what people need to understand.
Yeah, that ozone layer is looking a lot thicker today.
Oh, it is. You know what I mean? So yeah, no sunscreen. We don't have to put nothing on.
Yeah, I'm sure. What's it? Sunbeam is probably like going out of business right now.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, speaking of that, I guess I heard that Australia has like a huge hole in their ozone layer. Do you know why that is? Like, is it the kangaroos or like just shitting out methane gas or something?
I don't know. I heard the exact same thing too when I was in school. When I was in elementary school, I heard about the hole in the ozone layer, and I even researched on some scientific things that they were putting some special powder
to try to block
to try to block it, but it seems to be working because there's no laser beam coming down from the sun that's burning anything. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It seems that they know what they're doing. It's just that you can't play God too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it could always backfire.
Yeah, because they always talk about like other geoengineering ways to like fix the environment. And like I guess to pull it a bit back to the election, like one of the main reasons I voted for the Liberals is, I mean, especially being in my 20s, like I've got to care to make sure that our environment is intact, whether it be for global warming or just to make sure our drinking water is well protected. Like I don't know, I'm a firm believer, and like I guess I'm a liberal in the sense that I am optimistic. I like to think, you know, like obviously there's a lot of hardship in the world. I mean, how many people are probably dying this moment from like such horrible causes that are like so preventable? But I always had the thought that, you know what, like humans will have the ability to band together when shit hits the fan. Like, so if we do end up getting like, you know, 10 feet higher water levels in, you know, in the next 10 years or however many years, it's going to take until that point that we all are able to band together. And, you know, it's not even the band together part. It's still selfishness. Because what happens is 10 years from now, when everyone's properties along the waterfront start to get disintegrated, suddenly there's an economic incentive.
Niagara on the lake.
Yeah. Niagara in the lake is what we're coming. You know, a few drives around this weekend, like just everything's flooded. Ottawa was bad with flooding too. Everything between
Gatineau.
Yeah, everything like Gatineau got screwed, but it was everything like even on each side of Gatineau. So from I think they're saying like Perth, Arnprior area, all the way to Montreal, that river is just flooded. Just I don't know. Had bought a new umbrella this weekend.
You know, it's funny how you mention that. Like, you have the Liberals, like Justin Trudeau, that wants to help the environment by putting this carbon tax and actually being very, very environmental friendly. But look at BC. No, forget about the pipeline right now. Look at BC. BC's a Liberal government. You know what they're doing? I just read something. If you take a look right now, that they're pumping all their sewage into the ocean.
Jeez, that's how.
You know what I mean? So
here you go, Taiwan.
Yeah. So what's the point of having a carbon tax? What's the point of fighting for the environment when you're a Liberal government and you're pumping all the sewage inside the water? You know what I mean? And it's all over the news right now. Nobody can. It's shocking. You know what I mean? Why don't you put it in invest into a plant that actually cleans all this sewage, or build a couple more? You know what I mean? For you just to dump it into the ocean, you're not any better than a carbon tax.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is like you look at just how different the parties are across each province. Like they're each their own little animal. Like looking at Alberta, their NDP was still like so pro oil, and like that completely clashes with anything you hear about like the federal NDP. Like no, we don't want any of that stuff. Like,
well, I don't know if they're pro oil. I have a lot of people in a lot of friends and even politicians that I'm very strongly connected to. And they have shut down a lot of their product. Productivity has been shut down big time. So they actually suffered. And, if you want to buy a house over there, you got to see how much it is. It's super expensive. You know, even for they produce oil and they're paying $1.30 at the pumps, $1.20 at the pumps.
Yeah,
like us here, we produce hydro and we're still paying the most.
Yeah. No, we all know how aggravating that is. Like when we have, like, I can't remember the exact numbers, but like, you look at like the actual Niagara River, the amount of energy that goes through that, just the moving water itself, I think it's something like you can power like all of North America off of the energy from that. From like if we had the technology in place there, if we had turbines across every meter that like we wouldn't even need to have it like a.
So here's my homework for you, because you want to be a politician. Your water here in Niagara on the Lake, do you guys own it?
Well, we actually here get our water shipped in.
Correct, because you guys don't own the water. That belongs to the Americans. So the treaty that was signed is we're allowed to produce the energy off of it, which the Americans cannot, while they control the water supply.
Really?
Correct. So that's why in the summertime, when you take a look at Niagara Falls, the water supply is very, very low of the water going over the falls. It's because they're sucking it all in to give everything to the New York State.
Wow.
So I just want to give you that little heads up over there that we don't own that water. You know what I mean? We just produce the hydro off of that water.
Always a funny thought. Like, and then my mind starts going to funny places. Like, so if a Canadian went down there with a bottle for his dog to drink, scoop some water out of there, like, oh no, technically stealing from the Americans.
Why would you do that to your dog?
Yeah, okay.
You don't know what's in that water.
Yeah, you don't know what's disintegrating in there.
Yeah.
Who's disintegrating? So I voted for the Liberal in the last federal election for a few reasons. Like, one of the major reason people are always like, oh, it's got to be for pot, but like it was so that we could change the voting system to the percentage-based system rather than first past the post.
Well, let's talk about that, about the pot. Who brought it in?
Well, Trudeau, I guess.
No, he didn't.
So who brought it?
Harper.
Really?
At the time, you had to get you needed a medical license. I think that would have been that was the perfect thing, in my opinion, to have the medical license because it was controlled and everything was there. And you know what? We don't have the laws now that goes against pot compared to, let's say, 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was in transition. It was going to be decriminalized. Everybody was going to have it. What Trudeau did was supposed to speed it up, but he had some backlash in the Senate. So now he says, yeah, here you go. Everyone can have pot now.
Yeah,
so
now
just shoved it forward. And look at all the laws now compared to 6 years ago. There's more laws now that protects the marijuana, basically. Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, compared to what it was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So, that I think Justin Trudeau's just taken the torch from Mr. Harper at the time.
Yeah. Well, you are right. I mean, Harper did do a lot to invest in like medical marijuana.
Correct. And he also decriminalized it as well. So that was brought forward from his government, and he just made it just legal, and he just shoved it in the throats of the province right now, so they can bear all the headaches, and that's basically what it is right now. Now we don't even have the supplies that much to suppress the demand.
Yeah.
So I think it was done premature.
Yeah.
It had to be done gradually.
Well, because now what's happening is so back in the day, like a drug dealer, I guess they would have the incentive to make a quality product. That they said, well, if people are coming to me and they don't have the stores to go to, then I'm going to make sure that I don't cut my stuff, or I don't know, I'm no expert with that, but I'm going to make sure that my pot is pure and that people are going to want to buy it because there's no competition. And then by entering in with the government and having their high prices and their high quality, their high standards, Health Canada coming and snooping around every place. Now you have a dual system where you have the low quality market, which is now dominated with the black market, and then you have the high quality being your actual corner store, and how we have it in Ontario, OCS, things like that, Ontario Cannabis Store. So now you have the black market not focusing on quality, but just pumping out quantity, because now they're well, we just got to make sure that we're cheaper. That's how we're going to sell compared to going to the corner store or whatever. Another thing too is that now that it is legal for people to smoke it, people who are hey, my friend Brad who sells pot, maybe I'll buy some off him now because I can't get the kids taken away, or I can't get in trouble this or that. You know what I mean? But
it's illegal. You can't do that. So, and the law clearly specifies that you can't buy it from your friends.
Yeah.
What I have an issue is you're allowed to only grow 4 plants. Well, you have how many people in your household? 6, 5, whatever the case may be. Should it not be per person?
Yeah.
Because if those 4 plants are using for your medical, let's talk about medical right now.
Yeah.
So my back hurts, so I got
glaucoma.
That's right. So you need something to relax. 4 plants is not going to do you justice, right? So it should be per person. I mean, it's a plant. You know what I mean? How it's there to help you. So it's there. It's almost like oregano. Let's grow oregano that's unlimited, right? So pod's only 4 plants. Did they even think about this?
Yeah, so per household too. So let's say my friend Brad has 2 different houses right next door.
Correct.
Is this one person who maybe kind of goes between one house and the other? Is he allowed to have 8 plants then?
I believe he's allowed to have 8. If it's registered with the city as 2 different properties, it's 2 different properties. So it's 4 and 4 would be 8.
So now it's okay, landlords are the ones who are allowed to grow, basically.
Well, that's another thing you got to be careful about, because I'm going through that right now. So come May, It's 1 more month from now. People are going to be growing marijuana. So the question is, are they allowed to grow it in their house?
When you say come May, you just mean because the season?
The season.
Okay,
That's right.
I didn't know if there's like some other law that comes in.
No. I say May because that's when the summer, spring comes in. You could grow everything at that time, right? So people are going to try to grow them in their house. Well, there's going to be a major issue because now you're going to be putting black mold in people's houses. Yeah. You're going to be doing a different wiring. So you can't do that. That's actually illegal.
A lot of fires too.
Correct. So people need to understand that you need to seek permission from the landlord before doing any changes to their wiring or bringing in a greenhouse inside the house, because you can get an N5 for just for doing that.
What's an N5?
So an N5 is what you bring an application to the landlord and tenant board for when you're like for an interference or for a nuisance for what you're doing, right? Because it's going to cause a lot of issues. And I don't even think the insurance is going to help out the landlords if there's a fire. Like, it's illegal grow up. We're not going to cover that. So that's why the provincial government, Justin Trudeau should have never pushed this forward. It should have been properly thought out. Right now, they're going by the fly.
Yeah, when you say that, like, I am actually pretty damn shocked that there is like a cannabis store in St. Catharines that's open that has it from the federal government or passed through Health Canada and into that store for purchase. Like, I'm pretty shocked that like
Niagara Square is going to be having one too in Niagara Falls.
Everyone will come back to the square.
That's it.
Build a whole mall.
That's it. So they are going to, and they're putting Costco there. So so it's going to drain. It's going to bring those people.
Oh yeah, you're going to have people buying those massive pies and going right.
That's it. So make sure you do your shopping first and then go buy your weed.
Did you know that when the place opened in St. Catharines on, I think it was April 1st, there was this girl who was selling Girl Scout cookies with her daughter, and like apparently I don't know if that is true, but I guess she sold out like within like an hour or something.
Good for her. She's going to be a smart businesswoman.
Oh yeah, she figured it out.
Oh yeah, good for her. I would have done the exact same. There you go.
Yeah, sell hot dogs outside of the bars, things like that. Opportunist, realizes like which market is the best to go into.
There's nothing wrong to be an opportunist because you always got to try until something comes good for you. You know what I mean? So let's go back to these cookies, right? So this girl just tried it out over there. She did wonders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she's got actually at that age, she's got a brain. Good for her.
Yeah. And if she didn't take that opportunity, I'm sure someone else would have.
Oh, 100%.
I thought about it, but I mean, I'm not a Girl Scout, not yet.
Going to Boy Scout.
Yeah. About the whole boys. Oh, that reminds me. I think they were saying that, like, like in the U.S., Scouts is like a huge deal, and they have like the national like Girl Scouts organization, and then the National Scouts, which is a separate organization.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was now the guys, I guess they've realized that their numbers are going down, so they've said, okay, we're also going to accept girls, and this is making the Girl Scouts freak out. I mean, I've never joined either, but from what I heard, there's like a lot of different activities that the Guy Scouts do, things that are more like survival based. The Girl Scouts more things like arts and crafts. So that there are a lot of girls who are like, I want to join like the Boy Scouts because they do like, a lot of girls find that more fun. And now I guess they said the Girl Scouts is suing the Guy Scouts company, like just ridiculous, the kind of things that are going on. Like, you guys are supposed to be helping each other,
mm-hmm.
like rather than, putting those millions of dollars towards the kids that you say that you're there to help or whatever for other organizations. Instead, you're just suing each other.
No.
Pulling in the Tony Carusos of the world to help further their cause.
Well, if the Law Society is listening, I believe in inclusive. You have to include everybody, diversity. So that's what we're being forced to say in the public. So we have to include everybody. So just change the name. Just call it Us Scouts or People Scouts, as Justin Trudeau would say. I don't know if we're living in a very, very interesting time.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. Everything is changing. Everything is evolving. Same thing with law. I don't know. With something like this, at this time, I can't give my opinion, but I do understand where both sides are coming with this.
Yeah. No, I've got an interesting little story. So, have you ever heard of Peter Schiff?
Peter Schiff.
He's an American economist. He was one of the few dozen people that made tons of money during the last financial crisis. Was one of the guys screaming, "The sky is falling," and no one believed him. And so he walked away with his billions after and said, "Well, thanks for letting me catch all the sky," or whatever you want to say. So he was saying that he thinks that businesses should be allowed to discriminate against any way when it comes to hiring people. He was saying that they should be allowed to choose if they prefer a girl over a guy, or if they choose a Mexican over anyone else. Like they should be allowed to discriminate and choose certain people or not. And he was saying that the reason why he thinks this, I mean, but he's a very libertarian guy, kind of just like, well, who are we to say, like, just if you want to be like a total grump, we're not going to stop. If you want to be like he said, like, if you're getting to the point where you're physically hurting other people, that's obviously where you have to step in and say, hey, you can't do this. But his logic was, let's say you had a company and you made birdhouses, just for example. And let's say you're a white racist guy and you say, I'm only going to hire white guys. And then let's say a white girl comes in and your bird box maker, your white guy that you've had on for all these years, he can make 100 bird boxes a day. And then this girl comes in and applies. She can make 150 bird boxes a day. And she's proved it. She showed him a video. Look, this is what I do. If he says, I'm not hiring her because she's a girl, he's not going to get those extra 50 bird boxes a day. He's going to end up losing money. And because of his sexism, he ends up doing worse overall. So the argument was that they should just always hire the best person. And it that's the incentive for them not to be like a racist prick, is to realize that other people are going to be better. And it doesn't matter what race they are. It's about the job that they do. Another thing that was interesting is he was saying that if he was like the manager of a place, again, Peter Schiff is a guy, that if he were to hire a guy and a girl to, again, make bird boxes, and let's say they were completely equal across the board when it came to like making the bird boxes, selling them, like they're completely equal. The only thing was their gender. He said that there's now an incentive for people to hire the guy instead of the girl, because he said it's much less likely for a guy to say, hey, my boss was looking at me funny, I want to sue him for sexual harassment. And it's just far, like, if you look statistically, so much more often it's the girl with a guy boss. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot of issues there. Like, it could be that the guy bosses are being pricks and hitting on their employees when they shouldn't. But that it was just funny to hear that too. Like that, well, there's biases and they're there. Like, we can't just pretend that they don't exist.
Like I said, we live in very interesting times. What you're discussing here is like, I'm going to work for a factory, and you got these guys, the way how they talk, it's like what's it called, the locker room talking,
locker room
bantering, whatever. You know what I mean? So for us, it's normal. You know what I mean? I call you a jerk and whatever. You just smile. That's how it is.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like I said, the times have changed now that you have to watch what you say. You have to watch what you do, and you have to be very, very careful, because it's people's feelings that are on the line now.
Yeah.
If we like it or not, we're a society based on emotions. We are no longer a society based on logics.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen.
I can't see it getting any better.
As we could see right now, across Canada, we're turning blue. So perhaps that's going to save us a bit. You know what I mean? Let's go back to the traditional ways of how things are being done, but we need to be very, very, productive. We need to make sure that everything doesn't hurt to the best interest of the public.
Yeah, we need our priorities straight for sure.
We do need our priorities straight, because as of right now, like I said, we're thinking too much with emotions. We're not thinking with logics anymore. And even our kids nowadays, even with the school system, you go up to a child and saying, what's 10 times 2? So the answer would be 20, right? So the kid would go, I got to get my calculator out. I don't know. So, you know what I mean? If you go to Europe or you go to China or Japan, they'll tell you 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So we are living in a society right now based on too much on phones. We're based on technology. And I think that's also hurting our social aspect with people with one-on-one.
Oh, for sure.
Even if you want to date a nice lady, you can't go up to her in a bar anymore. You go, let's go on Tinder, or let's go Plenty of Fish, or Bumble, whatever the apps are out there. And that's how people are talking right now. But that one-on-one, I think we lost it. And you know what? That's going to be worse coming down the road.
The one thing I thought about, and I guess a bit of an aside, is like, so rather than having to turn your radius on Tinder down to 1 kilometer and hoping that person's in the room, be funny if you had a way to like point your phone, like, so my phone has the for the infrared light on the end.
Correct.
It's the same thing that they use for like a remote control, and it's able to actually read through objects. Like if I had a TV behind the laptop and I was pressing something right now, the signal could still be picked up. And it'd be funny if every human had like a microchip on them, that if you pointed your infrared at that person, you would be able to get like, oh, here's their Instagram, their Snapchat, their this, their that. Everyone would have to have their information set to like probably private, like, don't follow unless you accept, or sometimes you might even have don't display like any more information than maybe just a first name and that's it.
Can you elaborate what you mean by the chip?
Yeah, so if everyone had a microchip embedded in them. No, I know this is just
okay.
So imagine if you had an earring that everyone put in. It was just right there. So feel like people are going to be okay with putting things on that they already are used to. The same way that we're not going to put like screens into our wrists, but we're okay with wearing a watch because we've been doing that for hundreds of years. So I think that we'll get to a point where people will have something like an earring or a nose ring or wherever. I mean, you could even have like just anywhere you can pinch some flesh, put this little piercing chip. And on this chip, you would be able to basically, it would be like, it wouldn't have any information on it other than just a link. It would just have a bunch of zeros and ones embedded into it that when you point your infrared towards that, you'd be able to pick up that serial number, if you will. It like goes and uses your phone or your device's internet to look up who this person is on this database and show the information that they allow to be public, whether that's their name or.
So you've done a lot of research on this.
No, I'm up all night just thinking about these kind of things. Just what technology is available, what could be used, how have things evolved with technology.
So it's like the chips of what you put on the dogs and cats when you lose them.
Exactly.
I'm 100% against that.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's right here. This is our chip.
Yeah.
Okay. If the cops want to find you, they can.
Yeah.
It has GPS on here, so no matter where you're going, you call 911. They're able to pinpoint what direction that you're at. So this is our chip.
That's why you need decoy phones.
Well, it doesn't exist anymore because everything's digitalized right now. It's not analog. So the systems that the cell phones are using nowadays is all digitalized, and they're able to pinpoint you wherever you go.
Yeah. Even your car.
To put something on you, I'm 100% against that. I believe that's against one's privacy. But we are being watched by Big Brother all the time, no matter what you're doing. If you have a cell phone, 100%. So do you want to live, back in the days that no cell phones, no nothing, to get off the grid, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm 100% against the chip talking that's going on right now. Just due to the fact that now you're being watched. So what's the difference of us living in Canada compared to North Korea?
Yeah.
For example, right? So now you're silencing one's opinions, you're silencing one's thoughts. You have to be very careful. All your information's on a chip. What happens if I come up to you and I just steal your information? Same thing with a bank card, the one that you got to tap. You know what I mean? So there has to be some kind of preventive measures for that. But you know what? We're getting close to it. The reason I say that is we have a lot of fear that's going on in the world right now, like Notre Dame. The explosion from there and all the other attacks that's happening worldwide. Yeah. So and even Sri Lanka, what happened over there. So I think they're using this fear to saying this is how we're going to protect you.
Yeah, it's always that argument between privacy and protection.
Correct.
And they're saying, well, there's a lot of things we need to protect you against, so we need to take all your privacy. Sorry, this is just how it is, and not a big deal. And it's funny because you always hear the argument that people say, oh, well, they don't need my information. Like, I'm not a big deal. Like, they're going to be going after the Miley Cyruses and their information. It's like, well, that's like probably a thought that they want to have people circulate, because then, okay, you're okay with signing up for this or signing up for that. You're okay with giving Snapchat or whatever other app access to your microphone. And you say, I accept, even though it doesn't say I accept that when this app is live on my screen, it's I accept. So, I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to those kind of 100-page things that you just press I accept for, but I'm assuming in a lot of cases they have permissions that people probably wouldn't be comfortable with.
Same thing with your camera, your front camera. People are now taking the preventive measure by putting a little tape on it so you can't see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like again, we're coming to a point in society right now that we're too dependent on these things, but we want to keep our privacy. It doesn't work that way. It's one or the other, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not a two-way street.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. If we had that kind of earring thing, it would be interesting. Like, if I had the ability to program it myself and to only store a certain amount of information on it, like to physically have the hard drive. So rather than it just being some link that people could easily copy and steal. But yeah, I don't know.
How would that work on your health?
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? You got people say you got radiations on your phones, and you got this thing in your ear. Other than what's going to happen?
Yeah, like I used to have Bluetooth headphones that were in ear. I ended up just giving them to my friend. I told him, I was like, look, I'm not using these because I'm paranoid that they're going to give me brain cancer. And he was just like, yeah, sure, sounds good. I'll take them. Like whatever. And the sad thing is he'll probably never get a brain tumor because he's just so relaxed. And because I'm stressing out, it's the stress response is what causes those kind of issues in your gene that cause those mutations. So we'll see. I try to stay off my phone as much as I can now. Or like if I'm on a phone call, I'll always put in headphones, things like that.
Well, that's the best way. That's the best way to separate yourself from the phone. But even the headphones still got radiation coming off the receiving end of it.
Yeah. Even there's every booklet that you buy with with your phone, it has like a little pamphlet on it that says like, hey, by the way, keep it at least 5 inches away. Want to say hi to Becca Band. She commented on
Hello.
This is a beautiful girl from Scotland I got to meet.
Scotland, it's good.
So we have our international audience, so pretty cool to see.
Yeah. You ever been there yet or what?
Yeah, I got to go, and that was last August.
Did you buy your skirt when you were there or what?
Yeah, no, I just cut my pants open, sewed them back up when I got to Dublin. Yeah, I was there in August. I didn't tell anyone that I left because this was middle of my campaign. I had booked this trip months before I even considered running for mayor. When I saw that...
How was your experience when you ran for mayor?
Oh, it was tiring. Definitely a long run. I need to bring more water next time. No, it was good. I mean, it had me meet a lot of cool people like yourself throughout the journey and put me on the map, that's for sure. You know, it's a little uncomfortable. It's pretty cool at the same time when I'm like downtown. Like people always give you that look that like, hey, I know this guy. Where's he from again? Like, especially like right after the election, before I managed to take all the signs down, I got a lot of that. And yeah, it's pretty cool. But no, it's
No, I like the people of Niagara-on-the-Lake. When I was running, I got to meet a lot of them, and it was very interesting. You know, they were the very humble. It's a very humble community here, very close community. So yeah, I was very shocked that I got to meet a lot of people. Got a lot of signs out here in Niagara-on-the-Lake. I think I got second place here. So it was amazing.
It's crazy though, like the amount of fighting there is between like those who've been here and those who are new here. Did you ever find that when you're going around?
I did. They're like, "Oh, you're a city boy. You're a city boy." I was like, "What the hell does that even mean?" You know what I mean? Like
barely a city.
You know what I mean? We're here as one. You know, we're one community. We're Niagara. You know what I mean?
Now you're a dick. You're from the city.
But that's the whole thing, right? So sorry, I don't drive a pickup truck. You know, but
yeah.
You know, but I never experienced that much of that. You know what I mean? I did have a lot of people who came up to me when I went to the debate where you were talking. A lot of people came up to me like, "Oh yeah, you're the only guy from the city that actually showed up here."
Yeah.
So they were really shocked about that, right? So I never had a union backing me like the other candidates. I ran as myself. I was genuine to myself. I ran. I don't need, like I said, I don't need no union. I don't need no association.
Yeah, when you take on the union and the association, then you take on their ideas,
that's right,
their wants and needs.
Correct. And I want to take up on my ideas from the people themselves. I don't, you know, it's nice to have the union. I'm here to listen to them if they want to talk to me. But if you're going to pressure me to do your ideology, no, get out. I don't need you.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you said that. Like, you wanted to listen to the people to build your platform. Like, before I even decided to run, I just knocked on probably like 1,000 doors in Virgil in Old Town. And it was just like, hi, you don't know me. My name's Dan. I live on East West Line. I'm considering running for mayor. If I were to, what issues matter to you most? Like, what things would you like to see changed? And I was just trying to get like an overall opinion of like how people felt about the government. And you know, you get a lot of different themes, but a lot of overlapping themes, and those are the ones that you have to run with. I mean, you know, it's as much as we hate to say it, like it is kind of a game of trying to satisfy the most people that you can, with like, but still keeping your own values, like making sure you're not selling your soul. Like, you know, if someone's saying like, oh, you know, we need to cut down every tree in Noddle, and I say, well, I don't think we should be doing that. Like, but if it's a popular thing, then maybe I'll just say, okay, well, you know, this is my stance. I hope that I can have you guys see things from my perspective, but I'm not going to go out there with an axe cutting down trees for votes.
No. It's, you know, and Niagara-on-the-Lake is the last area for all this greenery that we have here. So for people even to think about getting rid of the trees, I think that's a little bit extreme.
Yeah. The issue is always like about, well, which trees can, which trees can't we, which properties are allowed, which ones aren't. So, I mean, it's for an urban boundary, but it's funny because there's so many properties out here, and probably not as many now because the winter blew them away, but there was a lot of those signs that say my trees don't need a bylaw. And 90% of them were in the rural areas that weren't even going to be receiving a tree bylaw. So, it's kind of silly. And then, like,
well, I go. It's gonna sound funny. You know, I'm Italian, so I go mushroom hunting.
Yeah.
Here in Niagara-on-the-Lake, right? I find those big oysters. They're called hen of the woods, right?
Yeah.
The only found here and during the times of September and August. So yeah, so I come over here to go hunting for them, and I noticed last year there's less and less trees. And then I remember going to this one area, and there's red ribbons on these trees. I'm like, what the hell is this? Are they chopping them down? So this year I'm gonna go for a little walk. They're getting rid of, you know, something that you can actually eat that's only found here in the Niagara region.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, no, that's pretty sad to see. I mean, it seems like this is heading in one direction. Like even the trees that they plant are like, I don't know, like they plant them in spots where like you can't grow a full-on tree, like, you know, the 1 foot of grass between your sidewalk and the road. Like you can put as many twigs as you want there. Like it's not gonna make up for those 100-year-old trees that are being cut
That's
down.
right.
So like, I would love to see a system in place where you could voluntarily add your trees to an inventory that they are to be preserved, and that you need to have like a strong system, or you need to go through, I don't want to say hoops, but like certain procedure to make sure that you actually like should be allowed to cut the tree down. Like, but then would people want to voluntarily add their trees to the property if someone was going to buy their house and they said, hey, you can't revoke that though, now you can't cut the
What
trees
about
down.
chopping the tree down but planting another?
Yeah, but then I guess you get just more rules on that. Like, well, what kind of tree? Does it have to be the same tree? Does it have to be the same size tree? Or just like, it's a can of worms that they opened up, and we're still.
Niagara Lake has always been special
Yeah.
when it comes to stuff like this. I had a couple of legal things against your municipality here, but they do things way different. I was like, it just makes you think, like, what the heck? You know what I mean? You guys are making a big deal for this special kind of fence because the wood is different.
Yeah.
I was like, no other municipalities have that. Why is Niagara Lake special for? Oh, you need these kind of blueprints to build a house. So Niagara Lake has always been interesting. It's very diverse.
I have a good theory for that too. Why that is?
Why?
So you know how like in the Western world we have a lot less problems. We have far less poverty. I mean, like we're talking about just generally. Like, obviously,
Correct.
There's still people that are hungry in any country, but generally we have cleaner access to water. We have better shelter, better food. We have better societies. Our systems are more democratic. They're more fair, at least. So we have so many good things, especially looking at like how many good things going on. And because of that, we have to find our own problems. Humans naturally seek out issues. If we were content all the time, we wouldn't strive to, I don't know, we wouldn't be going out to grab food to gather for the next cold winter. We would just be happy, happy, happy. Those humans died off. It was the humans that seeked problems and tried to fix problems that, like, even if they weren't there now, it could be later. Those are the humans, those genes passed by generation after generation. So we've gotten to this point where humans now, if we don't have a lot of problems, we'll start making them. So I think the Niagara Lake being that so we're on a lake. I mean, we were talking about the water access earlier, but I mean, we do have like fresh water to drink from. We have plenty of food. Our employment in Niagara Lake is amazing, even compared to other municipalities. Like with our population, we are doing an incredible job. And so we've started to realize, okay, well, what are we going to complain about? Like, what next is there? And I mean, a lot of these things, they are valid, but they're things that probably would have never gotten attention had we had like a Flint, Michigan crisis. You know,
but all these complaints are coming out now. If you're looking 10 years ago, people were scared to talk against the government. People were scared to go against, the position of authority. Now we have something Facebook and can just tell everybody off. Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's happening, but I want to ask you one quick question. When I was a kid, I was going, where the jet boats are?
Yep.
There was a fountain there. Is that still running?
I don't know. I know like there's a fountain in Memorial Park that I've used. I don't know about right by the jet boats though.
Okay, yeah, because I remember people used to go fishing over there, and there was this big fountain over there, and everybody used to drink from there. Even I was going to, but
yeah,
everybody says, "Oh, that water's contaminated. That water's contaminated." But I found that to be the best water ever. I drank from it. I never found any issues with it.
You can grow a third foot.
And that's right. Nothing. Everything's okay. And here in Niagara Lake, there was other fountains during the day, but we're getting rid of all that now. So I don't understand what the issue is.
Yeah, because the first thing I think of is like, well, why do they take away like playgrounds for kids? Like, oh, liability issues. It must be the same thing for these water fountains. Like, it takes one person to bring one lawsuit up or to threat one lawsuit for people to say, all right, well, no free water for anyone, no, available drinking water. Like, let's get rid of that. So a little bit ridiculous, but that's again kind of back to what you're saying about how society's changing. People are becoming hypersensitized. People are becoming so afraid of each other, afraid of any kind of litigation. The courts definitely seem to be changing. I mean, I'm such an outsider on this. I mean, I can't remember the last time I was in a courtroom, anyways. But it seems like just courts are tending to be far more liberal leaning, trying to just always kind of just keep the complainer happy. Like, I don't know, just could see why they're doing a lot of these like crazy big changes that don't seem necessary. They seem so backwards.
Mm-hmm. Well, for some particular topics, absolutely, I would agree with you on that one. But the judge is supposed to be nonpartisan. There's not supposed to be biased. For example, I see things that I'm wondering. The law states this, and you're telling me it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get into those discussions with the judges too. Sometimes, like, I don't understand. If the cup is red, it's red. Why you're telling me that it's beige? So you're coming up with a different color now.
Yeah.
The law says this. That's what I'm going by. It all depends on which person that you're dealing with.
And that's what's always tough. Like this, I've heard of people saying, like, how can we have a president of the United States, like one person to govern all, like that another human can say what is best for all these humans. And it's funny thinking the same thing with like a judge, that like it's not some supreme being that is like taking this like mathematical equations, these certainties, and playing through them. That it's always a weird thing that there is a human there that is like making that decision for other humans that affect their lives. Obviously, like that's a whole nother discussion to get into. But that's it's the best system that we have for bad situations. That's all it really is.
So what do you think about the federal government? Who's going to win?
Well, if you've seen the PPC, the People's Party of Canada took 11% of the vote in one of the by-elections out west that they had. So I don't know if Bernier and his team can chunk away 10% across the board, across the country, then who knows? You might end up getting the Liberals right back in, because NDP don't seem to be doing too well.
But even if the Liberals do get in, they'll be accountable because they're not going to win with a majority.
Yeah. Probably.
But I should keep my mouth shut because anything can happen, right? We thought that Wynne wasn't going to win with a majority government, and she ended up winning with a majority government. So I think that people right now are fed up because I haven't seen anything given to me by the federal government. They're giving our money away to these other countries, and yet here in Canada, it's becoming poorer and poorer and poorer.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. When I drove in St. Catharines, even here in Niagara, we're having a lot more homeless people on the streets compared to, let's say, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't know. Something's got to be done here.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see those millions of dollars go towards things like trying to help people get off their opiates and things like that, like trying to solve the problem from the get-go.
Yeah.
We are at an hour. Let's see. We got another comment. Judges trained to interpret the law. Totally different. It's all about interpreting.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Everything's about interpretation.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm definitely no lawyer myself. Still always kind of consider that in the back of my head. Should I get into law? But I'm just so afraid.
What are you afraid about?
Well, I guess I'm just afraid that I'll go away for law school somewhere, and then just a year in, 2 years in, having a bad professor.
So why don't you become a paralegal then? Learn the ropes for 2 years. And if you like it, then you can become a lawyer. Go back to law school from there. At least now you have that backing. At least you got that training now, so you got that sense of understanding. Law school's different. You know what I mean? But at least when you got your paralegal license, you can fully understand on the back ends of it.
Yeah. Plus, I got a local expert here for any questions I have along.
No, I'm not an expert.
Well, to me, you are.
Thank you.
But is there any plugs? Anything you want to shout out to? Any you want to refer? Shout out to Caruso Legal Services for allowing Tony to leave for an hour.
Yeah, no, I just want to say hello to everyone who works with me at the office. I'll be there soon. Don't worry. It is Easter Monday, so I am not open to the public today. But today I do want to get a bunch of paperwork done.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited for the bench election that's coming up very shortly.
When is that exactly?
It's going to be April the 30th. So voting started on the 15th.
Okay.
I got a lot of messages that everyone's sending to me saying, "Oh, we voted for you." But regardless if I get in or not, it was a wonderful run. I got to amend a lot of bridges. People got to meet me for who I am, not what they saw behind a computer screen. There is a lot of keyboard warriors out there.
Oh yeah.
But I'm very happy that I got to address a lot of those concerns. Like I said, it's been an excellent run. Win or lose, I'm happy to get to push the agenda of the paralegals forward. What they wanted. So I'm very happy. And again, we got to get immigration. We got to get family law on board. We have to expand the scope of practices because lawyers can't do it. They're overwhelmed right now. And would you pay $500 an hour to a lawyer, or would you come and see me for $100 an hour? At the end of the day, it's the same quality of service. And it's going to be very good. So we'll see what happens comes April 30th.
Awesome. Well,
thanks
friend for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone,
Bye-bye.
for joining us. And have a good Easter Monday. Take it easy.